Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. As we all know, the SNP run Scotland like their own personal fiefdom. It's all jobs for the boys, and let's make sure that our friends earning lots and lots of lovely money payable by the taxpayer. And even though there's been pledges to say that we're going to get rid of all these top, big, overly paid jobs, these have actually increased, and there's more than ever. And the wage bill is increasing with it. Taxpayers' money going to people who really don't deserve any of it. They're just put in these positions to make the SNP feel important and to show that they have the power to do it. Take a look at this figure and show you how the wage bill for the top civil servants, who are a lot of them unnecessary, has gone from 5 million to 7 million in just 5 years. That's £2 million a year that we really shouldn't be spending. On top of the £5 million a year, it would be very hard to justify spending. How many doctors and nurses would that buy? Here goes. So, fat cat pay in the Scottish civil service has soared from 5 million to 7 million under the SNP in just 5 years. That is a lot of money for these people that are brought in at the behest of the SNP. They're not appointed independently. It's them expanding and creating. And it is, I think, a lot of it jobs for the boys. Let's see who we can reward. There are now more than 60 bosses in the senior civil service north of the border, all of them earning more than £95,000 a year, despite previous calls to scrap the unnecessary jobs. But of course, scrapping these jobs means getting rid of people who may be loyal to the party, loyal party servants who've done wonders, even though they're supposed to be neutral. They've pushed the agendas, they've enabled policy to come through that otherwise would not, and things like that. And so you have to reward these people, and they do so by telling the taxpayers of Scotland that you need to pay these people even more because they're destroying their own country and they must be rewarded for it. The number of bosses in the Scottish civil service has rocketed from less than 50 to more than 60 in 5 years. Over the same period, their collective pay has increased from 4.7 million to 6.8 million. People doing nothing, getting paid a lot of money. The latest figures were published by the Scottish Government on Monday, showing a bewildering array of directors and other senior figures, all earning basic salaries of more than nearest damn it 100,000 a year. In total, there were 61 names on the list as at March the 31st, 2023, up from 48 at the same time in 2018. The top earner was Caroline Lamb, the Director General of Health and Social Care, on between 190 and 195,000 a year. That's more than the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. And she's only a civil servant doing a job that a far more junior grade could do for a lot less money. This was followed by Permanent Secretary John Paul Marks on 175,000. The third largest earner was Alison Stafford, who heads up the Scottish Exchequer for a salary of 145,000 a year. What is she doing to justify her money? She's responsible for the overall Scottish budget, including tax spending and measuring performance. But surely Shona Robertson is responsible for that. She's the finance minister. Why are we paying two people to do it? Well, I think the problem here is they need to pay these professionals to come in and do the job of the ministers, because the ministers don't know how to do the job. So if you're bringing in a professional to do a job that a minister should be doing, then the question is obvious. Why do we have ministers? Why are we paying a ministerial salary to Shona Robertson and a professional salary to Alison Stafford when you only need to pay one of those salaries? Surely. Other top earners include Ken Thompson, the Director General of the Constitutional and External Affairs. There's a job that doesn't need doing. Who's on 135k. He hit the headlines last year when he leaked a recording showing him joking about how his job involves breaking up the kingdom on behalf of the SNP. Well, that is, I believe, treason. It sparked calls for an investigation into the impartiality of civil service when it comes to Skexit. We know they're not impartial. They're being paid these huge salaries and put into senior roles by the SNP to reward them for their impartiality, as it were. Yeah, impartial my arse. Scott's Tory MSP Donald Cameron said at the time, "We all know that the nationalist strategy amounts to nothing other than breaking up the UK. But civil servants should not be boasting that it's their job. And indeed it should not be their job, because they are paid by the Westminster government. Civil servants in Scotland are not employed by the Scottish government. They're employed by the UK government. They are all beheld by Westminster. And so for them to be sitting there and destroying the United Kingdom and boasting about it, that could be seen as treason. And perhaps if we, prosecuted one or two of them for it, then the others would soon fall into line when they're seeing someone senior getting 30 years for treason. I think all of a sudden any talk of boasting about breaking up the UK would certainly become a lot quieter. Earlier this year, shock figures showed the total civil service pay bill for Scotland had soared by 60%, from an estimated $1 billion in 2016 to $1.6 billion in 2023. This included a record $3.7 million for the SNP's executive growing army of spin doctors. It is a ridiculous amount. It's a waste. It's just waste after waste after waste. The Scottish Government now has a departmental headcount of 27,000, making it the 6th largest civil service department behind the Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Work and Pensions, Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, the Ministry of Defence and the Home Office. This is now ridiculously large for a country that's only got 5 million people in it. Who's paying for these people? Why are they paying for these people? Across the UK, the regions with the largest number of civil servants are London with 103, the northwest of England 67, and Scotland 53,500 people. So 1% of all people in Scotland work for the government, the civil service. 1% are civil servants. That's a huge burden of taxable pay. Unbelievable. It's no wonder they don't want tax cuts. They can't afford them. Their wage bill is phenomenal. John O'Connell, Chief Executive of the Taxpayers Alliance, said, "With the tax burden at near record levels, Scots are paying through the nose for the boom in public sector employment. And what's more, there's a growing sense that public services in Scotland are worse than before the hiring spree, not better. Only once Holyrood is honest about what the state can reasonably be expected to do can we wind down functions and scrap unnecessary jobs. Most of them." Publishing the latest figures, the Scottish Government said pay for senior civil service is reserved to the UK Government. Yes, the pay might be, but the hiring isn't. And you keep hiring these people and putting them at that level. It's the UK Government that pay them. But if you were independent, you would have to. But even so, it's still an immense amount of taxpayer money going for people who don't need to be there. You should go in and do a random 1 in 10 firing. Just pick them, random, computerise them. Bang, 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 bang. Everyone over, say, 50,000 a year. Randomly fire 10% of them. And see if the others can pick up the slack. See if the others desperately want to remain in their jobs. That I think would that would concentrate the minds wonderfully. And coming up, you can't keep hiring people on ever increasing salaries without working out where those salaries are coming from, who's paying. Now the SNP know that these salaries are going to get paid from Westminster, so they can just appoint people. They can just make their chums there, knowing that they don't have to find the money. And yet, that is still money that's coming out for no reason whatsoever. Surely Westminster needs to put a clamp on it and say, no, your budget for the civil servants is X. And if you hire someone on that salary, you have to fire 2 at a lower salary to pay for it. And then let's see how popular this idea becomes. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Still got a few videos to go today, so it's just an onward slog. It's no never-ending river, isn't it? It's a never-ending river of filth from the SNP. And it's expensive as well. Anyway, till next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.